So I go to my senior pastor one day and I say, his name's Pastor Mike. I said, Mike, I think I'm starting to feel drawn towards Catholicism.
And this is the first time he's heard of it.
Yeah. Now he's married to an ex-Catholic. Okay. And he has no love in his heart for Catholicism, but he just goes, "You're crazy." And he was just like, "Okay, I think we know how to solve Keith's problem." He said, "I want you to preach a sermon series on the history and nature of the Christian church. That'll cure you." And I'm like, "Are you sure?"
You sure you want that?
That's what I said to him. I said, "Are you sure?" I said, I'm reading some pretty Catholic things." And you know what he said to me, Matt? He said, "Keith, if that's the truth, why wouldn't you tell our people that?" And I said, "Game on, brother."
Hello, I want to say thank you to Hallow, which is the best, not just the best Catholic app on the App Store, any App Store, it's the best app out of any app that's ever existed, Catholic or otherwise. I think it's finally time to say that. If you want to grow in your prayer life, please check out hallow.com/Matt. If you sign up on their website at hallow.com/Matt, you can get the entire app for free for 90 days. That's ridiculous. After those 90 days, if you don't agree with me that it's worth the money that you're going to get charged after that monthly, which is a relatively small amount, you can just cancel. You won't be charged a cent. They have sleep stories. They have My Catholic Lo-Fi on there. They've just added the Gospels, a dramatized version of the Gospels. They have daily exegesis on mass readings, which you can listen to. It is fantastic. So if you haven't done it already, hallow.com/Matt, sign up over there. Try it for free for 3 months.
Game on, brother. So
did you have to run these lectures by him?
No.
He just gave you the freedom.
He just said, "Go do it."
All right.
So
let's do this.
I preached a sermon series about the papacy. I preached a sermon series. I didn't call it that. I just, everything I did was always framed within the context of, we're going to talk about Matthew, whatever, 16 or whatever, we're going to talk about Luke chapter 2. We're going to talk about whatever. So it was always framed in the context of a Bible study, not let me give you a Catholic sounding sermon. We did a sermon series through the book of Acts. And I'm telling you, it could probably be put on any Catholic, publisher's list. It was extremely Catholic. But the real thing that hit me was Advent 2016. I was getting ready to preach a sermon. I was writing 2 sermons, one on what happened when the angel Gabriel came to Zechariah to announce that, he would be the father of John the Baptist. And then the second one would be on the Annunciation, although we just called it Luke chapter 1, And I preached the first sermon on Zechariah, and it went well. And then I was in my office studying the text for Luke chapter 1, for when the angel Gabriel comes to our Blessed Mother. And as I'm writing this sermon, I just become overwhelmed with waves of emotion anytime I would read about the Blessed Mother. And I just start weeping in my office. And I know people always use like weeping, like, oh, I was sad. No, I was like literally ugly crying. It was bad. And I'm in there and I'm just like, I don't know what is going on, but I felt her presence with me as I'm writing this sermon about what happened when Gabriel came to her. So I got up that Sunday and I preached this sermon, how Mary is the new Eve. She's the new Ark of the Covenant. She's the woman of Genesis 3:15, of Revelation 12. I connected all of these things, how in John 19, when Jesus says to her, "Woman, behold your son, behold your mother," that's Jesus giving her to us as our mother. I'm preaching this in the Methodist church. I'm talking about what saints said about the Blessed Virgin Mary. I'm putting saint quotes up on the PowerPoint screen and doing all of that. I had no idea that this was, behold your mother or Hail Holy Queen. I mean, it was right out of that stuff. And I preached that sermon, and you'd think people were looking at me like, what is he talking about? They were also crying. Like, it was crazy. I'd never seen this before in my life. People in the service were just listening, and they were like, because it wasn't being presented to them as Catholicism.
Right.
This is just, hey.
This is not a threat.
This is the Bible.
This is the patristics, yeah.
This is the first gospel in Genesis 3:15. I will put enmity between the woman and the serpent, right? Why does Jesus always call her the woman? We've always been taught that it was a derogatory term in John 2 when he says, "Woman, what have I to do with thee? My hour is not yet come" at Cana. But Jesus is making a statement. John is making a statement. John doesn't have to write that. He could have written or not written that. And yet he chose to show us that Jesus calls her woman. And when I have Protestants now that reach out to me and say, well, he never even called her mother, I'm like, you have such a small field of vision on this. Open it up and look at your Bible. He does that for a reason, right? And I preached that sermon. I remember there was one young man who came down to the front. We didn't do this in our church. And he just fell to his knees at the front of the church and just began to cry. I went and prayed with him. And he's like, I've never heard anything like this before. So I'm like, what is going on? I remember Greg came to visit me and I told him about it. He started crying. And I was feeling like something is happening with the Blessed Virgin Mary in my life. And I don't understand what it's all about.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.